will. Have you
I
read?
have. There's no mention of this, but she has a lot of friends. She had executors.
So perhaps it was an executor who went ahead and took some of the state funds and did that. So there,
And so how would George have been in a situation where he didn't end up with a red stone?
Well, you don't know. There might have been a stone.
Yeah.
Right, and somebody
You can't
might
say
have
that.
taken it or borrowed
Keep
it.
in mind that during the American Civil War, this was the first occupied town in the Southern Confederacy. And this town took a lot of abuse. And we have evidence of stones were misused and taken away, especially at Christ Church. Some of them were used as foundations for other homes and steps. And we have evidence in the cemeteries here in the Wilk Street complex, where I'm the historian, that they have been shot at. We found that the Pasco children had their stones shot. And some carted away by disgruntled soldiers. And this is a national cemetery over here. This is older than Arlington behind us. We don't
Way
know.
over.
We
where
don't
that
know
big
what
giant
happened when they were brought
flagpole is.
here for burial. We don't know if there was a picket post here, if there was drinking going on. We don't know. So it's just, you know. So the unfortunate reality, Gilpin was well known, and maybe somebody took his gravestone home when they mustered out to be kind of a souvenir, much like many other things in this town were taken.
Okay.
We're finding the metal Daughters of the Confederacy plaque inserted things over in that cemetery. People are taking them, sell on eBay for personal collections. You know, every year
really
some
sad.
disappear.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
It's very sad.
This
what's happening.
isn't guarded. It isn't locked
This
up.
place, this cemetery, as you can tell, is rather abused. I'm sorry to say that. And look at this. This is a very well-known community walking path cutting from Wilk Street over to Jameson.
And there's a couple more. One goes across like that, and a big one goes right down through the center.
Right now, that is
And that's just for people access.
yeah. Well, that old
Not
that
just
one.
Just
a cut
walking
through.
through it.
That
Yeah,
old one was-
jogging, walking through, walking their dogs. And one of the things we're asking in the letter that we're going to approve to send to the church from the Historical Society is close that gate, lock it.
Lock that because it's
Yeah,
we
this
don't-
is, yeah, George is buried up to here.
Yeah.
So it's a desecration of the grave.
Yeah, so
And they can walk over here. Now, here's the irony about everything. That road is Mandeville Lane. It was surveyed by George Gilpin, as was Hamilton when we were apart. As is this Gilpin Grave Street in 1796, when this is going to be the first subdivision of Alexandria. This is going to be where the wealthy merchants of Alexandria had little half-acre plots with a home on it. And if you go look at the maps of the Spring Garden Farm complex, you can see the layout that George Gilpin did in 1796 as the official surveyor for Fairfax County. Unbeknownst to him and the others, the venture collapses. And so this is why when the 1804 edict comes in that because of the yellow fever that no more burials could be inside of the town proper. Alexandria was in the District of Columbia unless you owned a plot. If you owned a plot, you could be buried there. If you did not own a plot, you had to be buried outside of the town of Alexandria, located in the District of Columbia. And so this was available on the cheap. And so the churches came here and purchased land that George Gilpin had originally surveyed and laid out Mandeville Lane in Hamilton. And you can still see the traces of Mandeville going through the complex. So this lane here is unimproved. You might want to walk on it because your ancestor was the one that laid that out.
Huh.
It's very powerful.
yeah, we can walk over there.
Yeah.
By the way, I want you to see
Yeah.
this side.
But they're cutting through.
Now they're
See
cutting
this
through.
huge gap where my
As
foot
opposed
is?
to using the lane that he
Yeah.
surveyed.
That is part of the repair.
This is going for years, you
It's
can tell.
pedestaled up.
You can see
It should not be.
you can see
That
the
makes it
footstones here.
teetery.
Plots as
And
well.
in my
Let's look at that
proposal,
visual
we
line.
just cut out and put a gravel and sand bed, and we position it a bit in the ground so it's stable and upright.
Right.
Otherwise, if they hit it again, it's more likely to.
So that is.
But this,
So the one.
very few of these cemeteries are well maintained. He does because,
It's volunteers.
yeah. the church's contract to have third parties mow these things, but that's it. I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time.
Sure.
I do a lot of work for another cemetery here. In fact, I was there yesterday. Before they bury people, they often have me make sure that the plot is empty. And with my ground penetrating radar. And what was I going to say along this? Anyway, so
So I got a little.
So the Gilpin plot, what is is there more that isn't used, or just?
there may be enough space right here in the plot. I did
Okay.
not measure it out, but it goes from about here just to here, right here. This is a walkway right here. And then, by the way, there's somebody buried in the partially in the walkway.
And we don't know, or we do know. Oh,
And it's part of that plot that they
oh, see.
went into the walkway. There are people buried where the stones aren't.
Right,
And there are a lot of reasons why there are no stones.
right.
Sometimes they just didn't have the money, they never got around to it, they moved out of town, you name it, or the stone was removed.
Yeah,
And I
or
gotta
destroyed.
be honest with
Yeah.
you, when I was in college, I wanted a stone to use as a tabletop. I never stole one. But it's a sad story. In Vietnam, I slept on these giant wooden religious plaques stolen out of a South Vietnamese house, inlaid with mother of pearl, etc. It was their ancestral shrine. And my guys, before I got there, stole it and put it in our little bunker to sleep on, because we were sleeping on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, so stuff happens
yeah,
for all kinds of strange
yeah, for sure.
reasons. So,
Small dome, not the big one. That's during the Civil War. Iron dome. No wings.
the point is, a lot of cemeteries, when you buy a plot, it is your responsibility forever to maintain that plot, not the cemetery.
Right.
So family dies out, it's
Sure.
boom, and that's the case.
That's why they can't find it.
That's why these things don't get repaired, because there is nobody to care
Gilpin,
Right.
or identifiable or knowledgeable. In fact, I'm looking around how many have snapped off.
Oh, I know. So many.
We do know it's mirrored because
It's very interesting. I'm one of the co-founders of the, we'll call it the Maryland Gravestone Study Organization. And you're looking at different periods, historic periods of the trends of different kinds of gravestones. These obelisks are all occurred during a certain period of time. They were trendy and extremely expensive in their day. These are social statements. We're important. Our family's important. We got a lot of money.
this is the guy. We don't know where that goes.
Are there any pictures?